Ever feel like you're juggling chainsaws?
Yeah.
But like on a unicycle. And the unicycle's on a tightrope. Life can get kind of crazy busy. But what if I told you there's like a secret weapon? Something to not just survive, but to really thrive. We're going to deep dive into that today. The surprising link between time management and, get this, self-care. We found this awesome article called Time Management for Self-Care, How Prioritizing Your Day Drives Success. And trust me, this is not your grandma's time management. We're going way beyond to-do list, digging into how tiny changes to your schedule can have a huge impact on feeling good.
It's wild how we think of time management as this rigid, productivity monster, when it could actually unlock more time and energy for the stuff that really matters, the things that make you.
It's like we're trying to cram self-care into these tiny cracks of our crazy schedule, when we should be using time management to build a life where self-care is just built in. Okay, real talk for a sec. We've all felt the pain of bad time management, the stress, the feeling of always being behind. But this article, it points out that being disorganized, it's not just annoying, it can actually hurt your health.
Seriously, and we're not just talking feeling frazzled. Chronic stress, which, let's be honest, often comes with bad time management. It releases these hormones like cortisol. Over time, high cortisol levels, it's like a wrecking ball on your body. Weakens your immune system, messes with sleep, and increases your risk for all sorts of things. Heart disease, anxiety, you name it.
It's like our bodies are sending us a giant SOS, like, hey, this pace is gonna break you.
Oh, man.
But we keep pushing, thinking we gotta try harder, be more disciplined. This article says, though, that the real game changer, prioritization.
And prioritizing isn't about making this mega to-do list and attacking it like crazy, right? It's more like taking a breath and asking, what actually matters to me? Then designing your days so they reflect those values, what you really care about.
Okay, I'm all about prioritizing, but how do we actually do that?
Yeah.
So it sticks. The article talks about morning and afternoon rituals.
Think of them like bookends to your day, setting the mood for how you want to feel, what you want to get done. A morning ritual could be meditation, journaling, or even just, coffee and peace before the day explodes.
And at night, maybe a bath, reading, stretching before bed. It's about those pockets of time where you switch from doing, to just being.
Exactly. It's like telling your mind and body, hey, you're worth it. Taking care of you is a priority. And these rituals don't have to be fancy or take forever. Even a few minutes can make a huge difference.
Okay, so we get the why, prioritize, but how about the how? This article is packed with tips, and I'm curious what you think about some of them. Let's start with one I struggle with, batching similar tasks. Ugh.
Batching is all about grouping similar stuff together so you're not switching gears constantly and can really focus. Instead of checking email all day long, pick specific times to tackle your inbox all at once.
This is where I fall apart. The email vortex sucks me in and suddenly an hour is gone. But why is batching so effective? Is it just about being efficient?
It's deeper than that. Each time we switch tasks, our brain's got to readjust, which takes time and mental energy. That constant switching can lead to attention residue, where bits of the old task are still hanging around in your head. Makes it harder to focus on the new thing.
So it's not just getting more done, it's reducing that mental drain, freeing up brain power for everything.
Exactly. And when you're not feeling scattered and wiped out all the time, you've got more energy and focus for, self-care.
Okay, building on batching, the article talks about time blocking. Sounds a bit more structured.
Time blocking is basically giving specific time slots in your schedule to certain things, both work and personal stuff. It's like drawing boundaries on your day, making sure important tasks, including that self-care, don't get squashed by the urgent stuff.
Makes sense, but doesn't that make things too rigid? Life happens, stuff comes up. How can we stay flexible without letting our schedules go totally off the rails?
Great question. And it shows how important it is to balance structure with flexibility. Time blocking's a tool, not a prison, right? It's about being intentional with your time, not becoming a slave to your calendar.
So it's okay to change things up if needed, as long as we're sticking to that main idea of prioritizing our well-being.
Exactly. And that leads to another important thing the article talks about, leaving space for spontaneity.
Ooh, I love that. We don't want to become robots, glued to a schedule 24/7. Where's the fun in that?
Exactly. Having some unscheduled time lets those unexpected moments of joy, connection, creativity, the stuff that makes life fun actually happen.
It's like giving yourself permission to just be in the moment, instead of always thinking about the next thing on the list.
And sometimes that moment is exactly what you need to recharge and reconnect with yourself. Maybe it's a walk in nature, a chat with a friend, or even just a few minutes to sit and breathe.
This is what I love about all this. It's about making self-care part of life. not just another thing on that never-ending to-do list.
And that shift in thinking can be so powerful. Like you realize you have control over your time and your well-being.
It's like taking back our time and using it to build a life that feels good inside and out. But let's be real, actually using these time management tricks, it's not always a walk in the park. The article talks about the tough stuff too, things we all deal with, like not wanting to change, feeling unmotivated, that good old procrastination.
We all have those time management kryptonite, right? But what's cool is that the article doesn't just list the problems, it gives solutions too. Like finding self-care activities you actually enjoy so it doesn't feel like another chore to check off.
So important. Like, if you hate running, don't force yourself to jog every morning just because you think you should. Find something that makes you happy and gives you energy, even if it's just 5 minutes of dancing to your favorite song.
Speaking of procrastination, oh boy, I'm a pro at that one. Any tips for getting over that hurdle?
Well, the article says to break down those huge tasks into smaller, more manageable bites. Instead of staring at this massive project that feels impossible, just focus on one tiny step at a time.
Makes total sense. It's less about climbing Mount Everest and more like taking a bunch of little steps.
Exactly. And when those distractions inevitably pop up, because they always do, the article suggests figuring out what they are and finding ways to minimize them. Maybe it's turning off those social media notifications, setting up a dedicated workspace, or just letting your family know you need some quiet time to focus.
Those are really practical tips, and they show how connected time management and self-care really are. It's like the article saying, hey, you deserve to protect your time and energy just like you'd protect anything else important to you.
And sometimes that means setting boundaries with the people around us.
Boundaries are crucial, but they can be tough to set. It's about learning to say no to things that drain you and yes to things that fill you up, that give you energy. And sometimes that yes is to yourself, to taking care of your own well-being.
So it's not just about getting stuff done, it's about being mindful about how we spend our time and energy.
Right, and that mindfulness lets us create a life that matches our values and what we care about most.
We've covered a lot here. The downsides of bad time management, the power of prioritizing, practical tools, even how to deal with challenges. But what's the main point? What's the big takeaway?
For me, the core message is that time management is self-care. It's about realizing your time and energy are valuable and using them wisely to create a life that reflects what truly matters to you. I love that, time management as self-care. It's not about squeezing in another task. It's about making space for things that nourish you, whether it's time with family, hobbies, or just taking a minute to breathe and be present.
And that brings us to a final question to think about, something that builds on the article but isn't directly stated. What if you dedicated just 5 minutes each day to self-care? How could that change your week?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm already thinking about all the little moments I could reclaim throughout the day. 5 minutes of meditation before bed, a quick walk at lunch, even stretching while the coffee brews. It all adds up.
Exactly. And what's amazing is those small self-care moments can have a ripple effect. More energy, less stress, a better sense of well-being all week long.
I don't know about you, but I'm ready to take a good look at my schedule and see where I can find a few minutes for myself, even if it's just 5.
Me too. And remember, even tiny changes can make a huge difference. So be kind to yourself, try things out, and see what works for you.
You know, it's funny. We often resist slowing down, like simplifying things. We think it means we got to give up being productive or ambitious, But this deep dive, it's really changed my view on that.
It's like a paradox, right? By putting self-care first, being intentional with time, we actually end up more effective overall in all parts of life.
Exactly. It's not about doing less, it's doing more of what really matters. This whole conversation reminds me of something I read about the difference between being busy and being productive.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that. What stuck with you about that difference?
Well, it was this idea that busyness is like filling your day with anything. Doesn't matter if it's actually helping you reach goals or if it even fits your values. But productivity, that's about zeroing in on what's important and making real progress towards those things.
That's a powerful distinction, and it ties right back to what we've been saying, time management as self-care. It's about choosing how we spend our time and energy, and not just filling every second with something.
It's about spending time in ways that energize us instead of draining us.
Right.
And that might be different for everyone. For some folks, it's creative stuff. For others, it's being in nature. And some just need quality time with people they love.
And here's the cool part. Those things that seem unproductive, like walks, deep talks, just being present, those often fuel our creativity or productivity or overall well-being the most.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge. Think of one small thing you can do today to put your well-being first. It could be 5 minutes of meditation, a walk, calling a friend you haven't chatted with in a while, anything.
And as you do it, pay attention to how it makes you feel. Notice any shifts in your energy, mood, your whole outlook. You might be surprised by the ripple effect of just one small act of self-care.
Remember, you deserve to feel good. You deserve time and space for things that bring you joy and feed your soul. And the best part is, you have the power to create that space.
Time management isn't about limits. It's about freedom. Taking back your time and using it to build a life that reflects what you truly value, what's important to you.
So go out there and make time for what matters. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.